Good morning, everybody, or at least I think it is a good morning. I was all full of vim and vinegar last night. I had so much that I wanted to do. I had all these plans, get my weekly vibes done. And the next thing I know, it was like a Mack truck hit me. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh my God, I'm this. I don't remember anything. I just fell asleep. And then I woke up this morning and I know the Mack truck hit me and I know it ran me over. So I'm just like, I don't have my weekly vibes done. So here we are. We need to get our weekly vibes done for this week. We need to find out what we need to know about love, money, worry, and advice. So as always, I will put a little video here to give you time to think about which number resonates with you, 1, 2, or 3. When you choose your number, go to that number on the video and see what your week looks like. So my dear ones, you chose group 1. Let's see what we need to know about love, money, worry, and advice for this week. When it comes to love, we've got the 7 of Pentacles. So I think at this point in certain relationships, whether they be work, family, or even co-workers, you're kind of looking at like, I've put a lot into this relationship. I put a lot of time. I put a lot of effort. And you're kind of questioning like, has it been worth it? Are you meeting in the are you meeting in the middle? Are you getting any kind of equality out of this relationship? Or is it a case of things aren't measuring up and maybe you're feeling a little taken advantage of? Sometimes we have to weed people out of our lives just as much as we need to weed things, go in our closet and clean it out and get rid of some shirts that even though we might love them, they just don't fit. That happens the same with family and friends. And that doesn't mean you've got to just, rid of them in your whole life. It just means that some people have to take a back seat sometimes. Sometimes you're just not on the same wavelength and you don't want to stop the relationship. You just know that you need to give it a little bit of time or just let it run its course. That's sort of where your week is going to be for somebody in your life. When it comes to money, we have the Queen of Swords. Get ready, guys. It's time to start budgeting. It's time to start looking at where you can cut off some of the extra fat that has to do with your finances. And this may cause some struggles, some arguments, especially if you're in a partnership and you share responsibilities for finances. This could be a time when you just kind of not necessarily come to blows, but be careful about what you say because you may say things that you might end up regretting. When it comes to the workplace, this could be a case of your workplace literally saying, listen, we're going to have to cut back a little bit. It may mean that there could be some changing of the organization of the company and where you fall among that change could be a possibility. It could also just be a case of watch it this week when it comes to going into the office because somebody's got a bee in their bonnet and you don't want to be the one that gets in their crosshairs. Do you know what I mean? So when it comes to worry, we've got Temperance. Everything, when it's like you are so worried that everything is out of balance that you're obsessed with everything being imbalanced when that's just not reality. There's always a give and take. Sometimes in relationships, you might be giving 70% and the other person might be giving 30% because that's the best you can do that day. The next day, you might be just clocking in at 10 because you just don't have it, and then your partner clocks in at 90. There's no balance in life when it comes to relationships or even in things or places or any of those things. There's always going to be those little pebbles and bumps in the road. So your obsession with making sure that everything's okay, that everything comes out balanced, to the point where some of you may be OCDing. And if you are in that category, or you might not even realize you're doing it, this kind of feeling of needing to be perfect, to have everything in balance, to have everything be perfect, it's just another way of saying everything be perfect. This is going to cause you to have your OCD come out. This is going to cause you to stress about everything, because there's nothing that you can plan that will ever work out 100% perfect. It's just not in our human capacity to happen. So if you're not willing to flow with the bumps, you're going to get beaten. So that's your worry. When it comes to your advice, you got the Two of Cups. Depend on the support and the love of others. You have so much support around you that nobody's expecting you to be perfect all the time, or to keep everything in check all the time. And we literally just use the example that sometimes in a partnership you come in at different percentages depending on the day. And here's your partnership. Here's where it's up to you to kind of say, listen, some days I just don't have to get it. This is what's going on in my life. You communicate, and your friends, your family, your coworkers, the people that mean something to you, they'll show up. You've got the support. Just be willing to ask. So, as always, we have come to our angel answers, when we get a chance to ask the angels about any question that might be on your mind, or it could be any situation that you're just wishing to have some advice about, or just something really fun to think about, because it always leaves you with something to think about, or a good feeling, kind of, I don't know, almost like advice that you can use in everyday life no matter what. So do you have your question? Your angel answer is compromise. In order to create a happy outcome for this situation, you will find it necessary to compromise. Allow yourself some time to become clear about what is truly important to you. Also, take note of matters where you would be open to changing your position. Work towards an agreement where everyone wins. Be open to cooperation that would allow you to get what you need while also assisting others in fulfilling their desires. Be objective about finding a balance between respecting everyone else's viewpoints and still being true to your own. So you've chosen group 2. What do you need to know about love, money, worry, and advice for this week? When it comes to love, we got the 6 of Swords. So if you've been having a bit of a bumpy time with your partner, with your friend, with your coworker, things are going to get a little easier this week. There's going to be some respite from the fighting, from the arguing, or just from the bad feeling. But with this card as a reminder that whatever was the problem issue, it goes with you. It's like when somebody says, oh, I need to just get out of my life, just go somewhere and just start again. And they just don't realize that you bring yourself with you. You bring all the problems, worries, concerns, and all your objections and all your thought processes with you. And this is maybe a week of respite, but it might be a time where you may think about, like, I know that I can get into a better place with this friend, family, or coworker, but that doesn't stop remain there to be problems that need to still be overcome. Or it might be a situation where you've just got to resolve to accept the differences and move on anyway. So when it comes to money, we've got the 4 of Swords. So this is a week of just holding down the week, holding down the finances this week. Don't spring for an extra meal. Do not go out and spend extra money that you wouldn't normally. This is kind of a week where you just want to kind of lay low. If this is your work, it could mean that you might be off sick, believe me. No, I'm not missing work today, but anyway. But this could be a week where maybe you're feeling a little off. This also could be a week where you may find out about changes within the company that may change the hours you work or the amount of hours you work. And also with finances, I just, because I just have to say when it comes to my mind, for some people, you may be having to look at your finances due to the illness of somebody within your family. So this is letting me know that if there's something that you're worried about, if you're worried about how finances are going to work out if somebody had to take time off or any of that kind of thing, it feels like for one, it's going to be a short-lived illness, so it's not something that's going to take a great amount of time. And for two, the coverage is there. You just may not know all the info yet, but the coverage is there. I don't know why I had to say that, but there it is. Your worry is the King of Cups. It is really hard to be the emotional support system for everybody in your life when it comes to everybody's problems. And it seems like you're listening to everybody and you're helping everybody, but then they don't see that you've got your own issues, you've got your own problems. So it's almost like you're a martyr. You give to the point where you have nothing left to give and you're too afraid to ask anybody for help. So you're really emotionally just feeling drained, and you know that you still have those responsibilities. You still have those things that, or people in your life that are in need, or those situations that need your clarity. So it's really a case of being emotionally overwhelmed this week. When it comes to advice, we have the High Priestess. This is one of those times where I've got to say to you, instead of saying, work on your inner feelings or, express yourself, this is saying don't. Sometimes you've got to just fake it till you make it and keep going even when you don't have it to keep going with, because there's something that that is there's somebody or something that about, that that you need to keep things in line for things to work out. You know the bigger picture, and maybe not everybody else involved in it knows what you know. It could be that you actually know the details of a situation, or you could have this intuitive knowing, and that's something that if you get that intuitive knowing, that gut feeling, you stick with it. So whatever situation that's causing you some stress and some emotional stress and feeling like you really just can't keep going, because either you have the solution, you have the intuitiveness to know what's actually happening, or it really could be a case of you don't have the whole story, and when you do, you will be blessed 100 times for sticking it out and being there for whomever it is that you're being asked to stick with. Sometimes it's just the way it flows, guys. I don't know. All right. So it is time for our angel answers. When we get to ask the angels a yes, no, maybe question, or maybe just some advice or something to think about. Do you have your question ready, or your situation that you're thinking about ready? Yes, exclamation mark. I love yes, exclamation mark. Bravo, the decision you've made is the right one. There's no need to continue to sort through additional options. You know what to do, and you should move forward with your plans. You've made the correct choice for your personal growth and development. However, some decisions can be a true challenge. If the task ahead of you is daunting or even sad, then proceed with your plans in a way that are life-affirming and self-loving. Ask your angels to be with you every step of the way, and don't hesitate to call upon friends and family for support. So you've chosen group 3. Let's see what you need to know about love, money, worry, and advice for this week. When it comes to love, we got the Queen of Swords. So I just get this feeling that you have to be careful with your words and be careful how you interact with people this week. Sometimes, even with the best of intentions, we say the wrong thing, or we're harsher than we need to be, and you're kind of in your feelings this week. So be careful with how you say things. And sometimes you just got to say things and stand up for yourself. Sometimes there's a situation in which you just feel like, you know, you're feeling like it's unfair, and you've been having this feeling of wanting to say something, bubbling up, and this might be the week where you finally just say, you know what, here, I need to discuss something with you because it's really hurting my feelings, and it's getting harder and harder for me to, you know, keep my tongue about it. Be careful when this comes to like workplace things, especially if you're in a position of power, because that is something that could really come back to bite you. So, depending on the situation, use caution, because I'm telling you, harsh words are not going to get the job done. When it comes to money, we have the Knight of Wands, so expect a little something coming your way. When it comes to work, this could be the opportunity for a new job or a little extra bonus coming your way, or maybe even a little side hustle that you would have never thought of, but somebody says, hey, listen, buddy, would you mind helping me out or doing this for the weekend? It'll be a little extra money in it for you. Or it could just be when it comes to finances, that you have a little extra money, a little extra play money that you weren't expecting. So it's like a good. When it comes to worry, the Seven of Swords. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, friends. When your worry is the Seven of Swords, it's a case of when you win at all costs, when you know you're right and you're willing to fight, to say, I'm right, well, guess what? You end up very much alone. You know, there's times to be right, and then there's times to let things go, to let it be okay that maybe you know you're right, but somebody's thoughts or feelings or emotions are more important than you being right. So your worry is that you have this want to win. It's like you know you're right, but you can see the loss and you can see the upcoming loss, especially when this comes to relationships. Because believe me, if you're in a relationship, you've got to be willing to bend and to be willing to accept people when they're not at their best, and to know that sometimes you've got to let go of being right to allow that person to keep their dignity, to keep their, to be able to have their perspective and to be able to validate their thoughts and feelings and emotions. Even though they might know you're right, that doesn't disqualify them. So I think you got to be really careful about that, whether you're the one that's doing it or it's happening to you. Neither way is good, but I think this is where your stress is coming from. Either you're being the aggressor of always being right and you're realizing you're losing a lot, or you're being the person who is being aggressed against and you're wondering, is this even worth it? Because it's not worth all this stress. When it comes to advice, we've got the Eight of Wands. So no matter how hectic things could seem like today and how bad you might think things are today, things get crazier tomorrow. Things happen, change, and then it'll change your perspective, change the way you think about it. It is a positive thing because the one thing we can all depend on, change. And this is your week of change. So I am letting you know that whatever thoughts, feelings, emotions you're having, just try to keep them in check, because there's something that's going to happen this week that's going to change your thoughts or your feelings or your perspective. Expect emails, cards, invitations, information. It's just going to be this whirlwind of change, and be ready for it. And it's a positive thing, because when I got this feeling of being like swept up in this positive momentum. So flow with the momentum. All right, so it is time for our angel answers, when we get to ask yes, no, maybe, or just for some really good advice or something to think about. Do you have your question? Your angel answer is Compromise. In order to create a happy outcome for this situation, you will find it necessary to compromise. Allow yourself some time to become clear about what is truly important to you. Also, take note of matters where you would be open to changing your position. Work towards an agreement where everyone wins. Be open to cooperation that would allow you to get what you need while also assisting others in fulfilling their desires. Be objective about finding a balance between respecting everyone else's viewpoints and still being true to your own. So, my dear sweet friends, that is our reading for this week. As always, I have our unity candle lit for each and every one of us. And until the next time we chat, take care, cheerio, God bless, and good health.